Hey everyone, welcome to the third animation log of making my animated series on YouTube. My name is Valkorey and I've been a full-time concept artist and illustrator for almost 3 years. In my free time, I work on my dream project, which is actually an animated full series. In video logs like this, I explain my process of creating a show from scratch, and sometimes it's hard to determine what your next step should be, especially if you are on your own. I aim to not only share my story with the world, but also provide a clear and realistic look into making an animated series or short story. In previous videos, I talked about how I got started with the show, what my planning looks like next to all of the preparations, and gave a general explanation of my storyboarding and layout process. On top of that, I also explain what the series is actually about, which might come in handy when watching my video logs. So if you miraculously haven't seen them yet, please go check them out. The link is up on the screen. If you aren't a new viewer, then I won't bother you too much with the introductions, but rather get straight to the point. This video log is all about characters in the animated series Valkorey, specifically how they were designed, why they look the way they look, and how I approach a magic system based on elements. Obviously, I do have to pay attention to spoiler-sensitive information, so sadly I cannot explain everything about them in great detail. I will specifically focus on the main characters of the series, which are Valkorey, Shokaru, Deli, and Akira. You probably already know that the main characters were designed by different people and also take on their personality traits. Even though it surely is an interesting and refreshing approach, it also comes with challenges. For example, you do not want one of them to be left out or feel insignificant. I find it important that every main character has their own goal and a reason to be in the animated series. One way I tested their importance was to remove one of them from the occasion completely and see how it would influence the episodes and outcome of the first season. If barely anything changed, it was clear to me that this particular character still needed some work. I allowed the designers to influence the script and the backstory of their character in a way that it would still fit within the main story and lore. By doing it this way, I got some really interesting dialogue and decision making, but mostly I really love how each character reflects their owner. One of the challenges I faced was making the characters memorable, and not only by their actions, but also their design, while at the same time respecting the original character designs from the owners. There are so many ways to design an interesting character, and even in the professional world of character design, people can still disagree on what makes a good character. When designing or reworking the appearance of the main characters, I had the following in mind. They all have to look different from each other. I obviously do not want any confusion between the most important characters in the series. I also want to respect the original designs, even if they might break some quote-unquote character design rules. At the same time, the designs need to be adjusted in order to be suitable for animation, and the appearance of a character has to resemble their personality or lore in some way. First, I looked at my main inspiration for the style of the animated series, which is anime. More specifically, Tokyo Ghoul, Princess Mononoke, and Wolf's Rain. Right off the bat, you can see that all of these inspirations use different techniques to make their characters visually memorable. I know that character silhouettes are regarded as an important design aspect for a character, but anime tends to focus less on this. Obviously, you still have a lot of great anime characters that stand out due to their unique shapes, but there is no denying that the West takes silhouettes a lot more seriously. In the end, the main characters still have to look like wolves in a way. 4 legs, a tail, ears, no clothing, and not stand out from the crowd too much. I wanted to avoid the feeling of having 4 special snowflakes in a crowd of filler characters. When it came to size, I decided to keep Valkorey and Deli relatively normal, while making Shokaru large and Akira small. Valkorey and Shokaru both have fur that could resemble a haircut, while Deli and Akira do not have this. Deli's original design used to have one, but I decided to remove it so Akira would not be the only one without a haircut, and more importantly, animating haircuts like this would simply take too long. Besides, I want to be able to show the characters from multiple angles, and it would look pretty off when Deli's head is just one big haircut when you look at him like this. Valkorey, Shokaru, and Akira have specific shapes on their body that you do not find on a regular wolf. She has, for example, big tufts of fur on her shoulders, while Shokaru has horns, and Akira has unique neck fur. Deli is the one that looks more normal, which actually fits his personality and morals, as he is also more reserved. Obviously, his more subtle design also shows that wolves can have normal bodies in the series. I also decided to give them some kind of color theme. Luckily, their original designs already had different colors. Valkorey is the only character that is mostly white, with red being the only color that really stands out from her. Her design does not have a lot of fancy colors or patterns, but more on this later though. Shohkado is easy to recognize because of his neon green hair, while Deli is the only character with symbols on his body in a bright blue color. These two characters have the most unnatural color schemes of the group. Akira's colors, on the other hand, are more plain. Her lighter features, such as her nails and nose, are unique to her. With all of these decisions, I created characters that can be recognized by more than just their name. If I were to mention the green one or the blue one, out of these four, you know exactly which one I mean. While you can also say the winged one, which is a reference to the wing-like fur on Valkorey's shoulder. Their silhouettes stand out from each other, as do their colors. I still remember the early days of having your edgy wolf character on DeviantArt, Oppressive Title and Feral Heart. For some reason, it did not matter how over the top they looked, but were rather judged on their cool factor, called nostalgia or something else, but I wanted to keep the sense of I do not care if it has a neon green haircut. Sometimes you do not have to do everything by the book. Restrictions such as no clothes, except small accessories, and no wings were also made. These decisions are mostly based on either lore or the power system. Sometimes it's good to know when to draw the line for your own story. When it came to the magic and power system, I first asked myself if I even needed elemental power and how the story would look if it were absent. Instead of adding it for the sake of, well, just adding it because I like it, I tied lore, but more importantly, culture to it. Something Avatar: The Last Airbender did extremely well. Obviously, it is by no means the same, but it can't hurt to give more importance and meaning to a story element that will be present in every single episode. The character Valkorey is a great example of combining the magic system with a character's design. She doesn't have much going on compared to the rest, but her fire element can make up for this. Suddenly, her entire design is more colorful. There's a lot going on behind the scenes with the animated series and its story. Animation logs are a way of sharing my progression with the community, while also giving some insight on how to create your own series or write your own story. Questions about backstories and why our main character Valkorey died are things I obviously cannot answer. You do not have to worry that the entire story is already spoiled before the first episode releases. However, the fanbase is already doing a great job on speculating and coming up with different theories over on our Discord. The server is one of the nicest and most welcome places I have seen in a long time. Not only do you get to see free sneak peeks of how the animated series is made during live streams, but you also get to draw alongside countless talented artists who have dream projects of their own. Akira and Shohkado are both characters who you can actually meet in there, as their owners are in the Discord server as well. People from Patreon get to see more weekly behind the scenes stuff, and even guides on how to animate something like complex in-betweens. I want to properly thank all of the Patreons for their support so far. It has made such a big impact on the series, and I can't wait to show you guys the first preview this summer. Thank you so much for watching again, and I hope to see you when the next one comes out. Bye!